Everybody, thank you for being here today. The time is 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. I'm going to do a quick roll call. When I call your name, commissioners, just raise your hand. We got Commissioner Munoz here today. We got Commissioner Gonzalez. Here. Commissioner Fernandez. And Commissioner Lopez. And me, myself, Mayor Flores. Again, thank you for being here with us today. I'm going to go ahead and start with the invocation. Chad, if you would like to lead us up here with an invocation, please, and then we'll proceed to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Go ahead and please stand up.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for another day of breath and life that you have given us. On this day, we remember our brothers and sisters in Uvalde. I pray that you will continue to bring them peace and healing in that community as we remember them. We also thank you for the occasion for which you brought us here this evening, not only city business, but honoring one among us. We thank you for Pastor Roberto's years of service. I thank you for all the lives that he has impacted, including my own. I pray that what we do and we say here is done for your honor and for your glory. Thank you for allowing us to serve this fantastic city. In your name I pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may have a seat. Consideration and action to approve a proclamation recognizing Reverend Filiberto Pereira, who was honored on World Humanitarian Day by the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. At this time, I just wanted to talk about this. On August 19th of 2022 is when we celebrated World Humanitarian Day. One of the outstanding members in our community, Reverend Filiberto Pereira, pastor of Iglesia Cristiana Ebenezer, Discípulos de Cristo, here in Los Fresnos, was recognized by the United Nations High Court Refugee Agency. This agency is located throughout 137 countries and territories throughout the entire world. They recently celebrated 70 years of service, which this organization is dedicated to saving lives, protecting the rights of refugees, and building a better future for those refugees. Also forcibly displaced communities that have been displaced, like Ukraine, and stateless people. Pastor Pereira has been helping vulnerable asylum seekers from many different countries around the world for many years, providing food, shelter, counseling. As a founder and executive officer of Southwest Good Samaritan Ministries, which is located in Bayview, Texas, since 1985. Now we know he's been doing it for a lot longer than that, but Good Samaritan was founded in 1985. With this recognition, with the recognition for the hard work that he's done, the world with the people he's impacted, we're proposing the proclamation that we're talking about here today. With that said, I wanted to open it up to the council for anybody to make any remarks or comments.
Good afternoon. I am so happy to see this recognition for Pastor Pereira. I had the opportunity to work with him directly in different events. He is a person since day one that I had the pleasure to meet him. He's a person that he receives you with his hands open, his arms open, always providing the right words. And when I saw this, I couldn't expect less. I'm very happy. Congratulations. And we're so proud to have you here today in our city for our community. Anything that we can do, you know that we're here for you. Muchas gracias.
Señor Pereira, muchas gracias por estar aquí y por el recibimiento que va a agarrar hoy usted, bien merecido. Lo he visto echándole esfuerzo con su comunidad cristiana, iglesias, y todo voluntariamente. Es un gran honor conocerlo y a la misma vez es un gran honor aquí estar presente con usted para darle esta recibición. Muchas gracias.
Well, I guess we leave the last for the good. No, I wanna thank you, Mr. Pereira, because I've been there with some of you people know me. I've been going to your church, and you give good sermons and everything. So I'm very grateful that you have won this certificate, and we'll back you up. We'll back you up on this, and at first liberating, because as a city council member, we need to see what we do and what we don't do. And I was liberating whether we were gonna involve the political with the Christian. And I was saying, well, should we or should we do not? But after I sit down and talk to God, God gives me some ideas of. But we're very, very grateful that you have helped a lot of people up there, and there's a lot of good churches here too, and they do a lot of good things too. So, but Mr. Pereira, thank you very much. You deserve it.
Mr. Pereira, thank you very much for the work you've done for the world, the people that you've saved and are helping to save, and thank you for the work you've done here in Los Fresnos. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to have some folks come up and say a couple of words. I'm going to start off with Senator Eddie Lucio. Thank you for being here today, and if you'd like to come up to the podium. Right over here.
Okay, I've never handled these things before. I was just thinking of all the chairs I've used in the 48 years that I've been in public office. God has a way, Mayor, commissioners, of fulfilling your own wishes. I was wishing that I would have the opportunity to return to as many communities in my senatorial district to thank the people, the men, women, and children that I have befriended, that have befriended me over the years, generations now, 3-4 generations that I have been able to be with. It's a great blessing, but today was a special time for me before I recognize an incredible human being to take a moment just to thank you. Thank you for affording me an opportunity to echo your sentiments as a county treasurer, a county commissioner, a state representative, and now your state senator for so many years. I didn't prepare anything. I wanted to speak from the heart, and the first thing that I thought about is I was sitting there, I said, this is my third hometown designation, I was born in Brownsville, grew up most of my life in Brownsville, but then I moved out in the country, outside the city limits, out here in the middle of Cameron County. I sort of look at it as in the middle of Cameron County, and my zip code was 78586, which is San Benito. So they claimed me as a citizen of San Benito, and I liked it, Freddie Fender and everybody else that I've known for so many years. But I really pay taxes, school taxes. I've always paid school taxes for 20 years to Los Fresnos and the children that go to school here. And I've been very happy and pleased to have that opportunity to be able to help with the education of our future leaders and all. And you were there, I was there many, many years ago. And the system has worked. When we contribute and we become part of the community. So I'm now pleased to say, when they ask me, where are you from? I say, I'm from Los Fresnos. That's my hometown now. And I'm very proud of that community, very proactive. But more importantly, the prayer that was said today by, I think it was Mr. Lopez, Commissioner Lopez. I couldn't see through but I thought I heard it from there. It was a beautiful prayer, and it started off an activity that we have fought so hard to have: freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, which is most important, followed by the flag that we pledge, ourselves to a country that's under God. Well, tonight we honor a man that I can say, as I was sitting there, how can I describe him? He's my neighbor. He's across the Resaca from me. I can see him, he can see me. We wave. We both go into the water once in a while to wet our feet. But he is the good neighbor. And that's what God told him and all of us here. Love thy neighbor. That's one of his greatest commandments, the greatest commandments. Love one another. And Pastor Pereira has done that all his life. He's a man of great compassion, a man that cares for his neighbor, his community, his state, his country, and for people all over the world who don't have it as good as we do. The refugees that have come here from other parts of the world because they've been prosecuted like he was for believing in God in Cuba. So there's much to be grateful to you, Pastor. And we take that moment tonight. I want to thank the mayor for thinking of me yesterday. I didn't have much to prepare, but I brought something very special that I want to present him, because he's a great Texan too. And I think that we should always be very thankful and thank God for the people who make a difference in our lives. And this man has done that. I even thought of Peter back there. We could name you Peter, because you know the story better than anyone, because you read it every day just about. I think it every day. When God ascended into heaven, he asked Peter if he loved him. And he said, yes, I love you, God. He asked him 3 times, didn't he? And, feed my lambs. Well, you have fed his lambs, and he's happy with you. But hopefully we pray that you have many more miles to go before you sleep, so that you can continue to do your good work. As for me, I will retire at the end of the year from public service, but I will continue to work and represent this community in Austin and other matters. I plan to do my best for the next 2 years or so I can see my community continue to grow, and so that this can continue to be a great community with opportunities for those that follow us. And I thank you. If you would come up here for a second, Pastor, I want to present to you, sir, this beautiful Texas flag that we encase for you, Pastor Feliberto Pereira, in recognition of his achievements as a good Samaritan and Christian leader. Senator Eddie Lucio Jr. and former State Representative Eddie Lucio III, who used to be the representative here before he retired this year as well. We're proud of all your accomplishments. And we have this right here to go with it. And we thank you for all the things that you have done that have turned into wonderful things for so many people. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I know the business community wants me to say this. This is for your wife so she can go shopping in Los Fresnos. But once again, Mayor, Commissioners, congratulations to you all. You two are public servants in every way. And these wonderful people have come here not only to honor our pastor, but they come here because they have business affairs to discuss with you, and they want to have an opportunity as a community here to do their best to live in this wonderful community. So as I represent them, I ask you to please continue to work together as one world family, one U.S. family, one Texas family, and one family in the Valley, and of course, a wonderful family, Los Fresnos, Texas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know I tried to reach out to our new elected Congresswoman, Mayra Flores. Unfortunately, because it was so late last night, she had some responsibilities, but I'm glad to see that Sylvia is here, and Sylvia is one of her, how would you say it? She's part of the official office. So come on up here to the podium if you can, Sylvia, and it's all yours.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. I am here representing the Congresswoman Mayra Flores. She could not be here, and she really is sorry that she could not be here because she's heard so much about you, Pastor, through Courtney, my coworker. She's our operations manager, and through me. You know, I've been to your church a couple of times. Me da mucho gusto estar aquí con todos ustedes y solo quiero decir que ya conozco al pastor. I know Pastor Pereira, and I know that his passion comes from having lived under communism. Él vivió bajo el comunismo, socialismo, no sé qué, pero sufrió allá, y yo sé que de sufrimiento viene mucho triunfo cuando estamos con Dios. ¿Es así? Y quiero presentarle pase. Nosotros tenemos una bandera aquí que voló en el Congreso en Washington, D.C. y le queremos presentar esto.
Gracias.
Sí, nomás que nosotros todavía no tenemos las cajas como, we don't have those fancy boxes like Senator. Okay. I want to read this flag of the United States of America on September 6th, 2022 is presented to Reverend Feliberto Pereira, founder and executive director of Iglesia Cristiana Ebenezer, at the request of the Honorable Mayra Flores, member of the United States Congress, in honor of being recognized by the United Nations Refugee Agency for outstanding service to the cause of refugees, displaced, and/or stateless people. We congratulate Pastor Pereira and are grateful for his service and dedication. Mayra Flores.
Thank you, Celia. Thank you.
Aquí tienen. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much. I don't have words how to express my gratitude to both of you.
Okay, at this time, if anybody else would like to come up and say a couple of words for the pastor, I was seeing if anybody else would like to come up. Pastor Cabrera, thank you for being here.
Good evening, everyone. God bless everyone. I know Pastor Pereira, you know, him and my father, those who don't know the story, I'm from Nicaragua myself. I came here as a refugee, as a 2-year-old. And him and my father worked together in the 80s so much. And then when I got reintroduced to him, he knew me when I was a little boy. And now, you know, all the work that he has done, not only for our citizens of Central America and, of course, Cuba and, the people that had just come to this country. I mean, it's just a great honor, Pastor, a great honor for me now to be a pastor of a church in Harlingen and to be, everything that him and my father were just great, not only trailblazers, but they were humble people and serving the Lord. And he's been serving the Lord for many, many years. And now to be reacquainted through the mayor, he invited me to a church service, and we just connected. He was like, I know your father. Really? I remember when you were a little boy. I'm like, wow. And so, we got reacquainted. But, it's just a great honor, Pastor, for this great award. You are a testimony to me. And I want to just, I just want to say that, wow, one day I want to be just like you. And that's my goal, because, you are truly the hands and feet of Jesus Christ because of all the work that you have done. And if I can do half of the work that you've done, wow, I know I got a good place up there for me. So I thank you so much for just being a leader, not only here locally, but in the world, a leader in the world from the United Nations. And thank you so much for praying for me, my family, and I look forward and continue pastoring and serving the good Lord for many good years. And I just thank you for your service for the community. And, I can't wait to sit down and talk a lot of stories. And, you pour into me, because now you're pouring into this generation. You knew me as a little kid, and now I'm following in your footsteps that you set an example for. And I thank you for everything. God bless you, Pastor Pereira, and congratulations. See.
All right, at this time, is there anybody else who would like to come up and say something? ¿Hay alguien que gustaría decir unas palabritas para el pastor el día de hoy? Chad, come on up. Thank you for being here, Chad, and thank you for leading us in the invocation. Can you press right there? There you go.
I can't think of anybody else in the city more that I would want to honor than Pastor Pereira. I have a story I want to tell. If I tell the story, he's heard it 1,000 times, and apologies to you, Pastor. I'm the new kid on the block here in town, and when we first started planting our church, I went to the Chamber of Commerce, and they pointed me in Pastor's direction. So I went to Pastor Pereira, how can we help you accomplish what you're doing? And as we're having this conversation, there's a knock on his door. Knock, knock, knock. Door opens. This is the first time I've ever met this pastor. Door opens, and there's a lady standing there with a brand new Stripes Laredo taco shirt. She's there to thank the pastor for helping her get a job at Laredo Taco in town. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty impressive. He really does help people in this community. 2 weeks later, we're planning another event, and I'm sitting again in his office, and again, knock, knock, knock. Door flies open. This time it's a young gentleman. He walks into the office, and on the desk, he flops down his brand new Texas driver's license. He's thanking Pastor Pereira for helping him get his documents so that he can get his Texas driver's license, and he's on his way to a job interview with that license. And I'm like, who is this guy? And since then, I've come to know that everything that I saw in that very brief snapshot is absolutely true about Pastor Pereira. And like the pastor said, I tell him all the time, I am just simply trying to catch up. I'm trying to keep up, and I can't. So thank you. Thank you for all that you've done for this community. Thank you for all that you do for Christ's kingdom. It is truly an honor, and nobody deserves that more than you, Pastor. So thank you.
All right. righty then. If there's anybody else that would like to speak at this time? All righty, so with that said, I'll go ahead and see if anybody well, you know what, I'll make the motion that we approve the proclamation naming World Humanitarian Day as Pastor Pereira Day here in the city of Los Fresnos.
I'll go ahead and second that motion.
Great, motion has been made and it's been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to recess the meeting at 6:25 for about 15 minutes so that we can take some pictures with Pastor. Oh, before we do that, Pastor, the floor is yours. Yes. Sorry about that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got excited there.
This is a great surprise for me, everything today. Really, it's a great moment for me and distinguished Mayor Alejandro Flores and distinguished councilmen and women and staff of the city of Los Fresnos, pastors and friends. I don't have words how to express my gratitude today. I feel so humble. At the same time, I say, this is the work of the Lord, as our senator said today, that this is my goal in my life, is to serve the Lord. And of course, it's an honor to be here with you today. This is both a surprise, as I never imagined, when the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees contacted me that my life work would be acknowledged and recognized. Thank you for letting me form part of this great community that I call home, and thank you for supporting my work. I am so honored to call you my friends and colleagues, and I am equally honored to uphold and carry high the name of the city of Los Fresnos. We have now been mentioned in 138 countries, as shared with me the United Nations representative who chose me to be among those recognized on World Humanitarian Day this year. And again, this came as a surprise all you are doing for me. I have so many friends that I consider family in this city. For me, family. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. And God bless you so much. God bless you all. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so now at this time, at 6:28, we'll break for 15 minutes just to take some pictures. There's some beverages and snacks out by the door, and then we'll recess the meeting and finish it up. So at this time, I'll go ahead and recess it. All right, the time is 6:51. We'll go ahead and initiate the meeting back in session. Public hearing to receive comments from the public on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2022-2023.
Visitors remark first? I don't think
Sorry
there
about
is
that. Is there any visitors' remarks, Jackie? I'm assuming there's not?
Okay.
Okay, great. So moving on from visitors' remarks, the public hearing to receive comments from the public on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2022 and 2023. It's 6:52. We'll go ahead and open the hearing and close it since we have nobody present here in regards to the public hearing. Public hearing number 2, to receive comments from the public on the proposed tax rate for fiscal year 2022 and 2023. Again, it's 6:52. Nobody is here present, and we'll go ahead and close the public hearing as well. Moving on to consent agenda items, 1 through 5. Is there any of these consent agenda items that any of the council would like to set aside? And if not, if there's a motion to be made.
I move we approve the consent agenda as stated.
Was that for 1 through 5?
1 through 5, yes.
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Action item number 1, consideration and action to approve the first reading of Ordinance 538, adopting the budgets for fiscal year 2022 and 2023. Mark?
You may start with, I sent out a memo last night, texted y'all to look at options 1, 2, and 3. And the reason why we need to do that really is talking more about the tax rate, but the tax rate affects the budget, and we have to approve the budget first. So as you're looking at that, you need to come up with, agree for the budget, option 1, 2, or 3, which then whichever budget you go with, 1, 2, or 3, also sets the tax rate 1, 2, or 3, because that balances the budget with the available funding. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does to me. I'm not sure if any of the council has any questions.
These are our only options for today. We could make a recommendation tonight on top of that.
We have to vote on it tonight because this is final, the first reading, and then we'll do the second reading of it next week. We can't move it any further because of state guidelines.
Okay, and this was the one that was emailed to us, and I just wanted to make a comment on that. I know that, we're currently heading towards a possible recession, and how deep that recession will get is yet to be determined, which that can impact people's jobs, possibly losing jobs, and people pretty much not having enough money. I like that these options are here and given to us and stated correctly. I'm looking at option 3, which is a 1 cent reduction, and I am aware it's taking a hit towards our budget of $35,000. With that said, we are getting money back from the election, not getting money, but we didn't spend it on the elections, which is about $15,000 approximately. So, it'd be nice to let the residents know that we are reducing the tax rate. I know that, if I'm not mistaken, it's been 15 years that we've kept the same tax rate, but property values have been increasing, and I think this year they've increased more so with inflation. So, I like option 3. And I'll go ahead and make a motion that I like option 3. Mark, every year the property values go up. For example, with Whataburger and all the residents that are coming to town, that definitely helps out the value that they're using off this tax rate, correct?
Correct.
So,
Mark, which one did you recommend?
Number one, on the property values that Alex mentioned, that is true. But as more residents move in and more businesses move in, there's more demand for services. So you have to realize that the services that are expected of us don't stay constant. They continually increase. And that's why I stayed with one, but we can work with all three of them as I showed you in those options there. We can work on all of those.
So option 2 is reduce tax a 0.5%,
Yes.
and item 3 is a 1 cent.
Yes.
How much difference is it we approve on a reduced tax for a 2 cents? How much difference is it? How much is it for it?
Double, right, Mark, of
It would
35?
be double the third option, yes, sir. So it'd be, instead of 35,526, it'd be 70,000, 71,000, 52.
And the savings for residents, based on the numbers, will double as well.
Would we be able to consider that a 2% with the current budget that we were looking at?
You can do whatever you-
The budget would then not be balanced.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a balanced budget.
It wouldn't be balanced by that additional 35,000. You have to,
I think the reason I'm asking is because, yes, valuations have come up drastically, the appraisals for homes. Some people I know had, in May, were fighting, trying to keep them down. I know we're going to be growing in terms of where we need to get business in. And I think the more we attack small business and or other business ventures, we can actually start helping alleviating some of this tax burden that we've had on residents. So for me, definitely lowering taxes is going to be the motion for residents. So if option 3 keeps us in the budget, in a balanced budget, then that is the option that I will be going with as well.
We have already saved on the election, what, it's 15,000?
Correct. It's
Yes, sir.
15,000, it's stated in this, here it is, 15,235.
So
My concern is that we've had 2 or 3 meetings on this budget, and this is the first time anybody has mentioned lowering the tax rate. If we would have done this at the very beginning, that you were wanting to consider a tax reduction, then things wouldn't be jumbled up as they are right now, trying to figure out figures on the fly.
Yeah, well, I agree with you on that. That's why a 2% deduction would not make any sense, but Mark's already stated that he could work with option, the 3 options that are presented. And, after you go home, you read these things and you really let it sink in. Sometimes, at the end of the day, you start thinking, well, recession. And at the time that we had the other meetings, I guess, for myself, that wasn't something that I was thinking about. But a lot of times I tend to go home and think about things a little bit more. So hence, since it hasn't been approved yet, I think this is a moment where either we make that decision or we live with regretting that we didn't. So I guess that's where I come from. That's maybe, I guess, over time, dropping it down more would be something that I would definitely be working towards. But right
and
now,
that's what I was going to recommend right now, Mayor. If we consider, okay, if this is the case, we'll look at that for future.
and the 15,000 that we saved, my initial response was, hey, let's at least give that back to the community. I want people to save. I don't care how much it is. I want that tax rate going down. And that's the whole purpose of me. I mean, if we could option 3, that would be that's my choice.
one of the things that you need to consider, and like I said, we work with all 3 options. You're removing the 15,000 out of there this year. And the reason why I propose to put it in streets is that's the single most thing that our residents call about and complain about. They don't complain about the tax rate. In fact, if they did, this house would, there would be people here, but there's not one, because the 71.5 has been announced for about 6 weeks. And so when you look at the 15,000 going away, what are you going to do next year when we do have elections? Where are you going to, then you have to go further into the budget and cut something else out to hold that election next year, because you've already taken those funds away from the budget and they don't come back in. They're gone. And so that won't be there available for elections next year. You'll have to cut an additional 15,000 if that's the price of elections. Then if it goes up from there, whatever that amount is, you'll have to find that and either cut personnel, cut parks, whatever department. So you're not just affecting this year, you're affecting years down the line. The other piece that comes into play is when you reduce the tax rate, if there was a reason for taxes to be increased in the future, as you can see, my track record has been that we don't increase them. But there has been times where cities are forced and have no choice but to raise them. The state legislature has put a cap on it at 3.5%. So as you drop that from 71.5 to 70.5 or 70.5 or 71, well, that handicaps future boards from raising taxes if they have to. I can guarantee that a future board is not going to raise it unless there is a reason to do that. But 3.5% from 71.5 is greater than 70.5. So as you reduce that tax rate, it handicaps future for an emergency that could come up and the city happened one of those back in 2002. They had to go to 99 cents, if you will recall. I was not here in the seat, but they had to do that if there, anyway, that handicaps. And so you need to understand that this doesn't just affect this budget, it affects every single budget from here on out. And so if we do have recession where property values don't go up and we don't get additional value, well then you're going to have problem meeting obligations like insurance that increases every year, chemicals that increases every year. So it's a lot more complicated than just this one little issue.
And Mark, that's one way to look at it, but we are the fastest growing town in the valley at 44% from the 2010 census till now, which means that we continue to grow. We have businesses that are coming in. We have residents that are popping up all over the place. On the flip side, we are getting that increase in those values that has given us the monies that we need. Maybe not as much as we would like to get, but we are getting an increase. And then the reason why you haven't seen people sitting in the chairs with the tax rate is we haven't gone through anything like this since the 1980s. If you think back, Jimmy Carter going into Ronald Reagan, this is exactly what they were going through, and we haven't had an economy in this particular scenario. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. There's one way of looking at it, and there's the other way of looking at it. And right now, the whole basis for my reasoning is giving the residents in this community a break, and it may not be a big break. I know $2, $5, $10, $20, but hey, as long as we're giving something back to the community, 15 years of no decrease, I'm glad that it stayed the same, but property values have just skyrocketed for the last 15 years. So again, there is that risk that property values can go down, and that is one way of looking at it. I'm just looking at it a different way.
And as more people move into the community, there's more people using our facilities and have more maintenance and more issues, more businesses, creates more problems with things that we have to do with water, sewer, drainage, street repairs. All of those things you're right, we get more tax dollars for those businesses coming in and the residences, but there's additional demands because there's more people. So it's all a bucket. And saying that, that's why I presented all three, and they'll all work.
And
But
option
you have
two
to
would-
understand that there is,
Yeah, and option two would give them some decrease, and that could be somewhere we can meet in the middle and reevaluate it on the following year. I mean, I just simply like the fact that, you know, if we're able to give some money back to the residents in our town, that's my number one goal, and that's why I asked for half a cent and a full cent, because I wanted to make sure that I am aware of what you're saying, but I'm also aware that people's property values have been going up regardless of the tax rate staying the same for 15 years.
How much does CDC play a part on our revenues, and what future revenues do we foresee with the programs that they're trying to? Do they go out there and look for businesses? Let me put it that way.
say that again?
Does the CDC promote people within that CDC to go out to look for businesses for us? Because I'm looking at, we can grow on sales tax that can subsidize that. So it's not just looking at residents. I don't want to see residents in houses and say, that's a percentage, that's a percentage. I don't want to grow a city that way. So for me, I want to be able to subsidize that 1% off of future business and revenues, but I don't know if that's something that the CDC takes care of for us in terms of bringing in this business.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of our new business has come because of several things, because it's we've got a good community to work with, we've got a stable community, we've got a good school district, and so it becomes attractive for people to live here. You go to Brownsville, they've got a huge area, and their tax rate is, I think, 72 now. So usually a larger city has a smaller property tax because their sales tax is so large. When I got here, my goal was to become less property tax reliant, and we have done that. Whenever I got here, almost 50% of our revenue came from property taxes. Now, only about 23 to 28% come from there. The large portion now is sales tax revenue, and it has grown from like 400,000, 400 to 500,000 to 2 million. And so, yes, you're exactly right. That's what you want your city to move to. And because we've had a steady property tax rate and increasing sales tax, and our business community has grown, that's why we've been effective in doing that, is becoming less property tax reliant. I don't know if that answered your question, but.
It's like a profit and loss statement, so we're finding proactive ways to bring in monies in different ways and not relying so much on that particular measurement.
I'm all in favor of reducing taxes, but my question is, we're already in September. How many business are we gonna receive through the rest of the year and the first part of next year? Are we gonna be able to sustain with reducing this amount? Because we just recommend some increase. So that's the reason why you recommend for us to stay the same?
I didn't really understand the question.
My question is, do you think that this will affect if we reduce the taxes? Because I'm in favor of reducing the taxes, but I'm also conscious that we're already the end of the year, and I don't know how many new business we're gonna receive. So statistically, how many new business do we receive every year?
Well, like right now, Whataburger's coming in, and that's like a $3 to $4 million annual revenue, and their building's gonna appraise pretty nicely. So that's the biggest one.
And we're talking about $37,000, guys.
They
35.
$35,000 for 1% tax cut. I really don't see that at all. That's going to be willing to
Yeah.
worry us,
Those-
whether it's streets or anything else.
Those businesses won't hit the tax rolls until a year from now. They're already, what's on the ground is already been appraised, and so Whataburger will not, there will be no tax revenue from it except a vacant piece of property until the following year, and then it'll begin to hit a little over a year from now.
So you don't have any plans in doing any street construction this year, no?
Yes, sir, we have a project out, but we already have the funds for those.
But I'm saying, because I read somewhere in the newspaper, you were saying that we're not gonna work on the streets until after we have finished this Highway 100, so beyond over 2023, so that's what I was reading that you were saying.
I don't know what you're talking about. Remember, we have a street project that the engineer's working on, and they're also doing sewer line. We'll be doing sewer line reconstruction at the same time, and we hope that we can go out for bids in another month, and then that project would start, 2 or 3 months from then because of the time it takes to get bids and all of that, which will hopefully, our construction will be closer to be done.
And I think they stated something about finishing the project by the end of the year, right? Sometime around November is when they should be done with the street road. I mean, again, that's what they say, and they can change it, and he's right, it could go into next year. I guess his concern is, when are we gonna start that project? And I think we've already had the funds though allocated for that, so this is not gonna mess with that, we already.
Correct. This will not affect those funds. Those are funds that we saved through the budget on an annual basis and put back for streets. This street repair is to repair other places where there's potholes, or if we get to the end of the year and we can put another block, a block of cost about $40,000 to do. So if we have enough funds, we can maybe get another block or two done, and then we don't have to wait years and years and years to do that. So that's the only reason why I wanted it to go in street funds, because those are the phone calls I get. Like I say, I get the street. I want my street fixed, or I want this other street fixed that I drive on.
And the 35,000, like what Commissioner Gonzalez said, it's $35,000. This city makes millions of dollars. So this is a drop in the bucket. It's not really anything that's going to impact
Well,
us.
it's not a drop in the bucket.
Well,
you
it's
know.
money back to the people in the city.
Well, besides the
And that's what I
point.
mean.
Here
It's a drop in the bucket
we
for a
a
million-dollar
while
company.
back, we talked about giving the workers an increase in their wages because of the recession and everything else like that. So we took a chunk of money out and we put it towards, I think we took it out of streets and stuff, and which was a little extra, and we gave it to the personnel. Now, you're saying we're going to take another 35,000 and take it out of there. You know,
Well,
like I said,
we can find, I mean, we haven't approved anything yet, so we can find 35,000 in there, number one. Number two,
I know we can find 35,000,
So
but
I
the thing
say
is,
let's do it.
we're running out of time, and we have to vote on it today. This is something that should have been thought of, you know, when we were giving out the extra pay raises and taking money out, that you were thinking about another 35,000. With that in mind, I'd like to make a motion that we go with option one.
I already made a motion on option 3 to begin with.
I didn't hear a second.
Yeah, I made you didn't hear a second, and that's because people.
I will
have some
second
questions.
option number 3,
Okay,
reduce tax rate by 1%.
okay, option 3 has been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. All those who oppose do the same.
Nay.
Is that, Gabby, was your name?
I'm still concerned, so I don't know what to.
But I think we still have majority with 3. Even depending, it doesn't matter, you can not vote and sustain, and we still have the majority for option 3. So we're going to go with option 3 based on the majority. Commissioner Munoz, Commissioner Gonzalez, and Mayor Flores. Alrighty, moving on to action item number 2. Sorry about that. Consideration and action to approve the first reading of Ordinance 537, approving the 2022 tax roll and levying municipal ad valorem taxes for the use, benefit, and support of the city, and directing the assessment and collection thereof.
And that one's easy, based on the budget you just approved. That is 70.5, 0.705 per 100 valuation.
Okay, all those, is there any questions from the council in regards to action item number 2? If not, if there's a motion to be made,
Are we gonna make a motion as it is, or we're gonna go with,
taking the 1%, what was the number again, Mark? The tax rate, 70 point what?
0.705.
That's taking that 1%, so that's what we're voting to,
1 cent.
1 cent. And so, want to see if there's any questions or a motion to be made.
I'll go ahead and make the motion in the direction of 1 cent in the budget.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Gonzalez,
I second it.
and it's been seconded by Commissioner Munoz. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye, and all those who oppose do the same.
Nay.
No vote.
Motion carries. Moving on to action item number 3, consideration and action to increase dumpster garbage rates and update the fee schedule with approved fees. This is for commercial, correct?
Turned it off. Yes, sir. The Republic Service, once a year, what they do is through the CPI index, they do a calculation, and it came out this year to 3.83%, and so it's capped at 4. So they give us a 3.83% increase. The way we do our garbage carts, we still have a little cushion in there, as you can see on page 58, I believe it is. We still got a little cushion of the residential cart for $1.13, and commercial cart only 21 cents, leaving it at 20, and that's my recommendation. Leave those alone like we did last year, and we've had it that amount for several years. I might add, I live in the county, and for the same service is $36 a month now. So it is almost double what Los Fresnos is. So we're doing very well in what we're providing our residents, because just right outside the city limits, it's another $16, $17. So, but we don't have that luxury on the carts. All we do is add $20 for handling, $20 because if they don't pay, we can cover, it can cover some of that. And so all we do is take the 3.83% and add it to it, and whatever increase the trash company does, we ask the commercial to take that up. We can't, take in that as additional amount. On the residential carts and the commercial carts, I assumed a 4%, and so I built the budget around already knowing that they would have about a 3.8 or 3.5 to 4% increase. So we're good on that part.
Now, Mark, where did they get that CPI number from? I mean, it's what, 8, 9%, and they're using 3.8? Do they take an average?
They do an average and calculate it over the 12 months. Yes, sir, because right now it's 8, 9%, I think.
Well, it's high, and taking consideration last year, it was pretty low last year, so I don't know if that's where they get it from, because they got the high numbers this year and they got the low numbers last year. I'm
not
just kind of
exactly
curious, because
sure.
3.8 was, I don't know where they're getting that number from. I haven't seen 3.8 since maybe January or February CPI report.
Well, you can see it's an average, is what they take.
Okay.
So I think they average it over the year.
So that means that they can bring it down, like in recession times where CPI drops, they can bring that number down, or do they kind of stay at that higher level until the contract states otherwise? Because they have an option to increase, do they have an option to decrease?
It's, if you look at the letter on page 56, it's not a true CPI index for all services. It is a specific CPI index
commercial.
dealing with garbage, water, sewer, and trash. I mean, not water, sewer, and trash, it's ours when we bill it, but for garbage. And so the 2021 average was 256, 148. The 2022 is 265, 952. And so the change is 9.804. And then they do a percent change. And that's how they come to the 3.83, which is better for us.
Oh, yeah, it's a good number.
It's better than, if you put all of the CPI index indicators, it's right at 8 or 8 point something is last time I saw it.
8.5,
Okay.
hopefully going down to 8, but, I'll cross my fingers this month. It comes out on the 15th, but no, just kind of curious, because it's a variable rate, so I wonder if it can variable down the other way as well. And benefit the small.
No, it won't reduce, it'll stay the same.
It's kind of like a bank, they make money on the credit card rate when it goes up, but they don't give anybody anything back.
Yeah.
But, understood. Any questions?
Unfortunately.
Any questions from the council in regards to action item number 3 and the increase in dumpster for commercial? If not, if there's a motion to be made?
So, you said, well, how much does the city resident pay on a dumpster right now?
$20. But we're not talking about changing that. That stays the same.
And I'm seeing over here on page 56, on that CPI cap, 4%, that's up to where they could go, or?
When we negotiate the contract, most contracts just, it says follow the CPI index. When we negotiated, I insisted that there be a cap of 4% because the prior company that we used would end up going up 6-7% in a year, and it would be very hard to make that transition from one year to the next. So I was sure that we capped it at 4%, so that's why that shows there is CPI cap is 4%. It's only 3.83, so it didn't meet the cap.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we go with the increase, because based on what you told me about the county, I mean, we're doing a good job here anyways, so I move that we move with this. I mean, we have no choice, right? We have to move with it, right? We don't have really say unless we find another company, and we don't want to do that. right now,
We
right?
have a contract, we can't
That's what I'm
find another
saying. So
company.
we have to go with the increase. There's nothing we can do about it.
Correct, the only other thing is you don't raise, but then it's gonna affect your budget and
Yeah, because then it comes out of the budget.
way more than what we just talked about, the 1 cent.
Yeah, I approve that we move with the increase from Republic for the commercial dumpster rate.
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Commissioner Gonzalez, what was your
I'll be
vote?
abstaining.
Abstain. Okay, great. All righty, moving on to action item number 4. Consideration and action to approve a sidewalk plan for the area of the city that does not have sidewalks. Mark, do we have the map here?
Yes, sir. It's on page 60. And you've got a lot of different colors. The question came, someone reached out to the mayor about they wanted a sidewalk, and it's an old part of the town. Why don't I have sidewalks? No fault of the cities. In the early days, sidewalks were not put in. They weren't put in even on a regular basis whenever I arrived here. Now each subdivision, as they're put in, as the subdivision is built, they have to put sidewalks on both sides of the streets. Going back and putting sidewalks on every street in the city would be unbelievable amount of money. It's depending on the number of driveway cuts they would have to make in a particular block. It's between $10,000 and $15,000 for one side. So the question becomes, do we do any at all? And I've just said from a staff standpoint that we don't do those. It's better to bring it to you and let you make that decision. And so I have come up with a plan to, you can also continue to say, we're not going to put any sidewalks in those old areas, or you can go with the option that I made out there. If you'll look at your map, where the orange is, that's where sidewalks are now. And because of the grants that we've gotten and the push that we've done along Highway 100, we've added over the last few years both sides of Highway 100. We've also added south. Up until a few years ago, there was no sidewalks to the south towards 8th, 9th, 10th Street. We were instrumental in getting those grants. And then the hike and bike trail that runs on your far right along that section of what I call the old part of town, and then to the back of 10th Street. You can see 10th Street has sidewalks both sides. Block 62, if you can see that is new development that's happened through the last few years with some duplexes, and so you can see sidewalks are all around that development. We also were able to get a grant that tied Valle Alto subdivision to Lopez Riggins Elementary, as well as to the south along Mesquite Street. I'm sorry, not Mesquite Street, Palma Street, and then it goes over on 6th Street, 2 blocks, because I think that was one of the questions is why does 6th Street between Palma and Nogales get a sidewalk and we didn't? That was a grant through Safe Routes to School that I had applied for and we were able to get. So it tied that area as well as tied Legion subdivision on your left bottom. That whole area, we were able to tie that in with that project. The yellow is what we have planned. We don't have funding for it, but the yellow, like where it ends at Paredes Line Road, 1847, and 10th Street, it would go all the way to the west and then up to the north around the school offices and Lopez Riggins, and then down that canal, and so make a block, and so that'll be a hike and bike trail. We also have funding, and they're working on it. Today, we have to be finished with that project before the end of December 2024, and we're well on getting that done. That is the west side of 1847 from 1st Street to Resaca Retreat, which is just past the high school. And you notice that there's a sidewalk on the east side, but not on the west side. And so we'll be able to accomplish that already. So the yellow is also things that we have planned or funding for. The blue is what I said, hey, if we cannot afford to put sidewalks on all the streets. But if you want to say that we want to do it so that everybody can go a block or two, walk a block or two, and they'll be safe on the sidewalk, you can see where I've done the blue lines. It would add Olmo Street, that's the one to the post office, from 100 to 10th Street. It would add 8th Street from Paredes, we call it Arroyo 1847, all the way to where we've already have it on Palma Street. And then we would increase Palma Street 2 more blocks on 9th and 10th because we already have it on the others. And then so that you would just have 2 blocks to walk, we would do 6th Street because we've already have part of 6th Street done, as you can see, between Palma and Nogales. So we would do it from Palma all the way to Arroyo Street or 1847. On the east side of town, we would do it along 7th Street because that would do either 2 or 3 blocks from an existing sidewalk. And then we already have part of it on Como Street, which is where it comes out by the Baptist Church and Dairy Queen. So we already have some of those, so that would be done all the way from 10th Street all the way to 1st Street. And then to keep the two block or 3 block minimum, we would go down 2nd Street all the way and tie that in to 2nd Street. And so that kind of gets you an idea.
Mark, now, we don't have to do this all in one fair swoop. We can look at this on a year-to-year basis and start working when the funds are available.
What I'm saying is either say we're not going to put sidewalks anywhere, or approve a plan so that if someone calls and says, hey, why don't I have a sidewalk on 7th Street on the west side, we can say there's not going to be one, but there will be when we redo that street. Part of our package when we redo it will be a sidewalk on one side of the street.
And
Does that make sense?
The person that reached out was an older individual, actually a younger for an older individual. They have to walk down to check those mailboxes, and sometimes they got to walk on the side of the street, and trucks and cars are passing. So the sidewalk would eliminate that risk for those older individuals that need to check those mailboxes.
Which is also the reason why I picked 8th Street, not because of them calling, but 8th Street is a more heavily trafficked street. So is Olmo. I use the streets that are more heavily trafficked. And so if you approve this plan, we're not going to go start building sidewalks. When we do a block, and say we do a block from, like we're going to do that's already in the plans, from Alamo to Arroyo or 1847, we would include that in the bid package to put that sidewalk in at that time. And so it could be over the next how many every years that those will be added. If the street's been paved and it's in good shape, it's going to be a while before the sidewalk comes. But at least we have a plan in place that says these are going to be done and when they have funding. Or you say, no, we don't want to pay for any sidewalks. And if you do that, well, then that's a plan too. And then I can tell them, hey, we brought it to the council. They this time decided they're not responsible for the old areas of town not having sidewalks. So that's just up to y'all. But at least we have a plan that y'all have looked at and decided upon.
On the one that says Canal Street, is that the one where we put in the pipes or what? The one that says Canal Street, I'm lost here on the map. I can't hardly see the names.
No, there's no sidewalk on Canal Street.
And this does not include Whipple Road, only because Whipple we're waiting for the county, correct? Or the state, or who was it, the county?
Yeah, that's a whole separate
That's a whole nother.
Yes, sir, that's already,
That goes with when they do the road expansion. and
Correct.
Whatever that day comes.
I'm only talking about the old part of town where there wasn't.
Where there is no
sidewalks.
sidewalks. Which is normally like where East Fifth Street, 10th Street, all those streets are, it's on that side, right? That's predominantly that area.
It's all four sides. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's on the other side as well.
It's from Canal Street to 10th Street and from Mesquite Street all the way to the drainage ditch there by the Lions Club rodeo grounds.
So practically all this is only gonna be that where we fix on those pipes and fixing for a bike trail?
No, that,
The ones that's close to O'Reilly's? That the one you're talking about?
no, not that part. That part's already, that's already,
That's planned. We don't have the funding yet. I think we're gonna get the funding. I've got a grant working, but I'm not sure on that.
like, for example, if you look at the city park, you'll be able to see just north of that, those areas where the kids walk and the mailboxes, that area gets sidewalks. And then if you look at that part and base the rest of the town, you'll be able to see, okay, here's,
The blue.
the blue, that's correct. Maybe, if you can just clarify for him on the map real quick. It's because the map doesn't have the street name, so sometimes you're like, okay, which street is that? Which, yeah, but as long as you understand, Commissioner Munoz, right, the map now? Okay. Any other questions from the board in regards to action item that we're just speaking about, number 4?
I'll go ahead and make a motion for the consideration and action to approve the sidewalk plan for the areas of the city that do not have sidewalks pertaining to the master plan that we have here in front.
Okay, motion has been made. And I'll go ahead and second. Oh, you got it? Yeah, Commissioner Munoz will second that. We jumped at the same time. Apologize. So motion has been made and seconded by Commissioner Gonzalez and Commissioner Munoz. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Action item number 5, consideration and action to elect a member for place 6, 7, 8, and 9 of the Board of Trustees elections for the Texas Municipal League Intergovernmental Risk Pool. Any questions in regards to action item number 5?
Yes.
We're gonna start with place 6. So none of these 2 individuals on place 6 are on board right now, or they're one of his?
Is there an incumbent?
It doesn't show an incumbent there, so I guess they're both running for that place.
Sorry, we're reading through this under qualifications, so I guess it's going to take us about a minute or so before we start
I took a
discussion.
look at it before, so if anybody wants to make a motion, please do so. I see I looked at the candidates, I'm sorry. I already read through all of them. So I guess we'll work on place 6 first, and then move to 7, and then 8, and then 9. Mark, how do I do it electronically since I just have it on my computer? Can I select on this?
Yeah, we'll handle it for you. Y'all just let us know and we'll work that out.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the board will have to fill it out up here and then give it to you? Okay. Okay.
Y'all make a motion on who it is, and then we have to follow that and submit that.
So the committee or the council has one vote, or do we have an individual vote?
Y'all have one vote.
Yeah, so for place 6, we have between Allison Hayward and Kimberly Mesmer, and just let us know how you vote. I'll go ahead and cast the first one for place 6, Allison Hayward.
I place for Kimberly Mesmer.
Y'all are gonna have to make a motion for each one.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
each one, yeah.
You gotta vote on it just like you do any other
Okay, so-
It
item.
doesn't say whether they're Republicans or Democrats. So I'm not voting for any of them.
And that's fine, you can sustain. I'll go ahead and make a motion to vote for place 6, Allison Hayward. See if there's a second. Allison Hayward for place 6. There's only 2 candidates for place 6. So I made a motion for Allison Hayward. If anybody wants to second that.
And if there is no second, can I make a motion?
The mayor.
I make a motion that we elect Kimberly, Miss Mar.
Okay, motion has been made. Kimberly Meismer.
I'll second that motion.
Motion has been made and seconded by Commissioner Munoz, Commissioner Gonzalez. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
And all those who oppose, do the same. Place 6.
On
I'm sorry, place 7.
abstain?
He abstained.
Mr. Lopez, or no?
Yeah, I abstain.
Okay.
Yeah, he will abstain. Moving on to place 7. Anybody wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for the selection of Ms. Rebecca Becky Haas.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Gonzalez for Rebecca Haas, Mayor Richmond.
I second it.
And motion has been second. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. And those who oppose, do the same. Just waiting on Commissioner Fernandez. And this is for this particular person. Okay, I'm sorry? Oh, you want to say it on the, yeah.
Yes, sorry. I vote in favor for Ms. Haas.
Okay, so there's 3 yeas, 1 nay, and he is going to abstain from voting. So moving on to place 8. At this time, I'll make a motion for Louis R. Rigby. Let's see if there's a second.
I second the motion.
Okay, motion has been made for Louis R. Rigby by Commissioner Munoz, Commissioner Flores. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. 1, 2, 3. All
I'll go
right.
ahead and make a motion for Ms. Mariana Mendoza, City Administrator for the City of Elotes.
I second that one.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Gonzalez and seconded by Commissioner Lopez for Marian Mendoza. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
All those who oppose do the same. I'll abstain. Place 9. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve William Lynn.
Okay, motion has been made by Commissioner Munoz for William Lynn. Is there a second? Appears to be no second. Is there another? Motion dies. Anybody want to make another motion? I'll make a motion for Carl Joyner, Mayor of City of Kima.
I'll go ahead and second that motion.
Great. Motion has been made by Mayor Flores and seconded by Commissioner Gonzalez. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. All those who oppose do the same. Just waiting on Commissioner Fernandez. Decisions, decisions, decisions. I wish we had these people in front of us, right? So we can, I just go off the education and
That's
stuff
what
like
we're,
that. That's what I
that's
go
what
off
I'm
of.
looking
So
at.
there's no right or wrong answer here, Gabby. So you just,
I move that,
well, hold on.
we go with,
Not yet. We haven't, because there was 2 yays and 2 nays. So it's up to Gabby to,
You can take your time, Gabby.
yeah.
I'll vote in favor.
Okay, Commissioner Fernandez has voted in favor of Carl Joyner, Mayor of City of Kima. So the time is now 7:50. That will adjourn our